Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and it's time for more Last Ronin reading and discussion. We're going to take a look at The Last Ronin number 2, and once again I'm going to read the entire book down, pausing occasionally for commentary and review and discussion. Let's go ahead and just get right into it, folks. I shot this, number 1, late last night. I'm doing this in the middle of the afternoon today, so some of you guys that were there last night that might have liked to have gotten to watch this live, this is just a good time for me to go ahead and shoot this, so my apologies if you weren't able to be here during the live show, but the nice thing is you can look at this after the fact, of course. So here it comes. It's The Last Ronin number 2. We have Raphael on the cover. Straight away, going... Okay, we revealed our turtle from the end of last issue. Obviously, full-on spoilers, guys, and... now we can put other turtles on the covers. This doesn't necessarily suggest that the turtle that we were looking at in the last issue was in fact Raphael, although you might assume that if you haven't read that, and then you see number 2 and you're like, oh, I guess it was Raphael. Nope, that's a flashback. So let's go ahead and start reading, shall we? Once again, we've got all of the same creators, but we've got Kevin Eastman doing quite a bit more than he did last time. He was just layouts before, but now we're going to have an entire flashback sequence in his kind of surreal, gritty, I don't want to say black and white, but color muted kind of style. Last Ronin Part 2, First to Fall, so each of these issues has its own story title, and they're not really standalone stories, of course, but they sort of have a beginning, middle, and end unto themselves, at least these first 2 issues, I would argue. It's not like episodic television or anything, but there's just a real clear, neat beginning, middle, and end for them. So last time it was Michelangelo. He seems like Raphael, but he's not. Michelangelo is climbing the tower. He's on a suicide mission. He's hoping to take the last Oroku with him, and he fails at that but manages to survive. And so we get the whole climbing the tower and then almost dying, and then at the end of that last issue he meets April, and here it's going to be a lot of exposition, but not boring exposition, certainly. Flashback, catching him up to speed and starting to put together a plan for what he is going to do moving forward, or at least that's about to happen. He's kind of just licking his wounds right now. So now, and it says that because we're going to start getting flashbacks pretty soon, you've got April just lying in her bed, thinking, remembering, and kind of having tortured memories. This could have been done as a dream sequence. I'm really glad that it's not. She's just lying in bed, traumatized, just remembering the terrible catastrophe that led to the dystopia that she lives in now. You see a little bit of tears in her eyes there, and then we go to then, and I like that all the flashbacks we keep in scene throughout this whole book. So we're in the second time around shop, and this is going to be a major throwback and homage, I guess, to the, again, early Mirage stuff and the movie, where we've got the second time around shop, and something terrible is going to happen to it again. What the heck's taking them so long? Casey, you told them 6:30 sharp, right? This is April talking. Everything's getting cold. Relax, April. Getting from the lair to anywhere is always a pain in the butt. But all this food is fine, babe. I'm more worried about screwing up the toast later. Are you nervous to tell them? Sorta, but they're family. Still can't believe you said yes. So April and Casey are about to get married, and anytime, especially with Eastman and Laird, Mirage Turtles, something starts going right, the other shoe is going to drop. Or the other, is that the expression? The other shoe is going to drop. Well, I used to think I'd end up marrying you out of pity, then I couldn't wait for you to ask me. Classic Casey and April banter and chemistry. Took you long enough. Sorry about that. It's just the streets never really showed me how to care about anything but myself for most of my life. Which sounds stupid now, because I wouldn't have had a life if it wasn't... Pardon me, because I wouldn't even have a life if it wasn't for you and the guys. So their whole life, of course, revolves around the Ninja Turtles, and they have been taken in as family. I immediately, once again, just the continuity question, I find myself going, okay, is this a Casey Jones that was, like in the IDW comics, raised by Hun, or is he just by himself with an abusive father, or totally on his own? Again, it is completely ambiguous about that, and it's not going to matter. Speaking of, you're right. They're taking way too long to get here. I'm starving. I know, it's not like them at all. I'll call Donnie and find out where they, and then Raphael comes in, and he's real bloody. This is going to be a super bloody issue, by the way. Something else I want to mention real quick is last night I was talking about the font choice for Michelangelo's dialogue, and it turns out everybody has that same font. I was noticing that looking over this in preparation for this video. I kind of thought at first the idea was that the turtles were real world weary, and that's why they all had that kind of script, but everybody is talking like that, so that's just the style of the book, and that works as well. And it's real gritty and looks a little bit more like handwritten. I mean, I'm not sure how exactly the lettering is done in this book, but it goes back to the Mirage stuff, certainly. Make a hole, incoming. Oh my god. Raph? Ambush. Ambush? Who? Gee, I'll give you two guesses there, Casey. Raph, you're hurt. Forget me, Master Splinter. And so two of the other turtles bring in Splinter, and he's in bad shape. Raph, where? Over here. April, grab the med kit. Bring everything. I like that. I'm just noticing this now. Donatello here. Is this Donatello? Yeah, because I think he's got his bow staff sticking out there. It looks like he's in sort of like a half disguise. Like, it's not a trench coat, but it's kind of a ludicrous thing to be wearing, and that's fun. And then April wakes up, and again, we're keeping it in scene. So at first I assumed, okay, we're only going to get part of that scene. A lot of modern comics do this, where you kind of put a pin in it, and then you move on to whatever's going on currently. Like, she was sort of playing the scene out in her mind for a while. It gets interrupted by something in the scene, and then we go to a scene, and then we jump back later. But this is just kind of checking in, getting a sense of how she's feeling about things and how difficult it is for her to relive this, but she can't stop. The sense I get is that she's always going back through this in her mind over and over again. This is when she loses her fiance and the rest of the turtles. And so it's this real-life nightmare that she can't stop having, and it's sort of a waking dream. So I really like, at the bottom, you get a dialogue, oh god, in a narration box, and then we just go right back into it. This is bad. Easy, easy. Splinter in his traditional purple robe. Donnie, help me cut the clothing away and clear all this blood. I don't know where to start. Snap out of it. We need to find which wound is the most dangerous. Focus. So April is always cool under pressure in this. She's able to take these horrible situations and in kind of a Vulcan way, put her emotions aside and move forward, and I like that take on her a lot. Yeah, okay, sorry, I'm good. He's not, though. Who the hell ambushed you? That's Casey talking. Casey wearing as dressed up as you're ever going to see him, I think, because he's trying to pop the question. All right, pardon me. He's not popping. He's already done that, but he's trying to let his friends know that they've gotten engaged. And part of the tragedy of this, I think, is that some of the turtles maybe are never going to know that. I'm not sure if I'm right about that, but I hadn't had that thought. Foot bastards. Large strike team. This is Michelangelo. Jumped this when we came out of the sewers. So we're going to have a Michelangelo who is more like his old self in these flashbacks, and it's kind of nice that we get that contrast between what he used to be like and how he is now. Rear guard sensei, making sure we all got clear. Screw that! Come on, Raph. Let's make sure Leo got clear too. Damn straight. It's body count time. I'm going to assume that that's a direct reference to the Image series body count, which was I believe, standalone Raphael thing. I never read that, but I've seen covers. I sold it at one point when I was when I did kind of retail part-time. I say retail, I used to sell used some, and I had some of the body count books at one point and had never seen that before. I was like, Image did a Ninja Turtles book? That's crazy. And it looked really hyper-violent and crazy out there. I've never read it. Every time, pardon me, and also I should say it's really appropriate because there is going to be a large body count in this issue, and it's super bloody, and if you were going to have that reference, this is the place for it. Every damn foot in this city is about to find out how big a mistake they made tonight. They've just got to be so tired of doing this dance constantly. Like, how many times have the Turtles, and this is kind of its own continuity, again, it's that Dark Knight Returns thing where you have to imagine what all of the backstory is and all of the Batman adventures before you get to that, because it's not exactly in any particular continuity. It's like that with this too, but like, how many times have the Turtles gone through this where they get ambushed by the Foot, and then one of them gets hurt or kidnapped, and then they're licking their wounds, and then that's motivation for them to strike even harder, and then they just keep doing the same vicious cycle over and over again. I guess it's worse here because we're about to find out that they were supposed to have a truce, which is also a thing that the IDW series did, I think, and it happens in some other places as well, which is why, once again, it's really easy to imagine this in a number of different continuities. Oh, and I should also say that the mask at the bottom, I haven't talked enough about art in this, is a little bit like a Santaluco mask. Mateus Santaluco is my favorite artist for the IDW Turtles. He did quite a bit of that stuff, particularly around City Fall, and he would draw each of the Turtles with jagged bandanas to reflect each of their respective personalities. So they didn't just have different colors, but they also had different kinds of shredded bandanas, and Raphael's bandana is drawn a little bit like that here. And lots of different artists working on this book. I'm not sure which did each thing. I didn't credit them at the beginning, so I'll go ahead and mention that real quick. We have Esau and Isaac Escorza, and I need to go back and do some research and see what else they worked on. I meant to do that before I did this because I didn't immediately recognize those names, but they probably have done other Turtle stuff. They look real experienced with these characters. Ben Bishop, and of course, we're going to get to a Kevin Eastman section here in just a little bit. Let me get back to where we were here. Leonardo, we're good for now. Leonardo and Raph kind of fighting each other again. I turn, or at least Leonardo just always is having to kind of talk him down, I should say. I turn the last of them back in the subway. Looks like they might be running towards the east side. The docks, maybe. What about the truce, Leo? Thought we got past all this with him. That's Casey talking. Honestly, I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. That's what you get when you make deals with the devil, says April. And I might have thought one of the Turtles would stop her for a second and say, hey, that's not fair, and they might go on a whole argument about that. But everybody ignores her. She just kind of gets that shot in, and we move on, I guess, because things are pretty urgent right now. But she gets kind of an I told you so in there, it seems like. Because I doubt this is the first time she's complained about that. How's father? He's lost so much blood. We're doing the best we can, but without a real doctor, I don't know if we can save him. Understood. So Leonardo, all business. Casey, pull the van around. I'll call Dr. Lee. Wait, what? I know we shouldn't move him, but that's April talking. No, you're right, April. We need help. This war just matter of time. This is Splinter talking. Oroku against Hamato, always. Talking about the vicious cycle. It's never going to end until they kill the last one. Karai trying to end it once and for all. We got you, Sensei. It's okay. So Michelangelo, it seems like, might be the last turtle that Splinter talks to before he dies. I'm not sure about that either. Hey, where's Raph? Damn it. Leonardo does have a trench coat. And now we get snapped back to the present, and April is getting up and being proactive and getting her day started, not wallowing in the past anymore. So we're not getting everything that happened there yet. But like I said, I do like that scene continues and just earlier and just gets broken up occasionally by reminding us that there is a person that is going through some emotional stuff with all of this, and it's not just going to a story that's not our story. That's really good narrative storytelling. And so April is putting on her robot limbs. You got kind of a glimpse. I was going to say, did we get a glimpse of this at the end of last issue? I can't remember. I've been, reading through this, and so some of it's mixing together a little bit. But this is where it's revealed at least that she has both a robot arm and a robot leg. So she lost some limbs in what just happened that we haven't seen the rest of yet. She sighs. She's got to get over there and grab her leg and says, "Hey, Casey, a little help here," suggesting that Casey is gone, which I think we probably could have surmised already, but she's still got his iconic mask and golf club bag. And then we've got Michelangelo trying to start a fire. We're back in the past again. Are we back in the past? No, we're not. This whole April still being alive thing is nuts, huh? So he's talking to his brothers in his head again, and now we actually get to see them because we're no longer building to the reveal of which turtle are we looking at. We know who it is now. Yeah, hard to believe anyone survived that. We don't quite know what they're talking about yet. Think about miracles. Talk about miracles. Right, Mike? Yeah, right. He strikes a match. Last thing I remember was the explosion, and then he blows out the match. I was out of it pretty bad when I finally came to. Couldn't remember anything for days. I kind of missed that one, I guess. So now we're getting Turtles dialogue off panel again. So once again, you have to kind of imagine which turtle is talking, but it doesn't really matter because it's all about Michelangelo. He's the only one left. And I like that we're not going to always see the rest of the turtles because it's all in his head. And at the end of the day, it's all him. No, kind of about it, Raph. And why was that, huh? I don't know, Donnie. Wouldn't be, well, okay, so I guess they are making it clear who is talking because they're saying each other's names right now. Wouldn't be because he flipped out, ran off, and did something stupidly hot-headed again, wouldn't it? And how many times has my stupid hot head saved all your asses, Leo? I like that. There's always the question of whether Raphael's impulsiveness is sometimes an asset. Not enough, and that's Michelangelo talking. His tea is going off. This is kind of a traditional storytelling thing for tension, where somebody's making tea, and then we build to a boiling point when the water has boiled. Never enough. Yeah, at least I didn't try to off myself at the first whiff of failure. You stupid, pathetic fool. Again, stuff you'd never imagine Michelangelo saying. You always make our entire life all about you. That is true. I fought every battle you have, even the idiotic ones you started. And you still want to judge me? You knew what my mission was in the tower. A one-way ticket from the start. Well, now it just sounds like he's kind of losing it. Because, I mean, you knew what my mission was. Yeah, he's in your head. He's not real, Michelangelo. For our father, for our family, for our honor. We're going to repeat that idea over and over and over again. Maybe ad nauseum. Maybe it's going to get laid on a little bit too thick. That Michelangelo's motivation is splinters. That he's just constantly making everything about honor and respect for his father's code. And now he's kind of pushed them away, and he just says, and he's getting his tea ready. Look, I should be dead. That fall should have killed me, but it didn't. We talked about this last night, that there's going to be an actual explanation for how he survived that. I'm still here, still alive, to fight. I lost the battle, but the war goes on. We've all had so much stolen from us. No more. Oh, pardon me, I guess he hasn't pushed the other turtles out. I guess he's still talking to them. I forgot. For a second, I thought that this was going to turn into him talking to April, but I guess in his mind, he's kind of resolving the confrontation he just had with them. I will finish what we started, what Master Splinter raised us to do. The last Oroku must die. Now we're flashing back again, and Raphael going off on his own like he always does, and he's about to get in a big fight, as you might expect. He's in a in a subway tunnel, I should say, and then you've got a couple of cameos at the bottom. I bet you can imagine who these guys are. You see that? What? It looked like, never mind, that'd be too crazy. And that is, of course, Eastman and Laird themselves showing up in this comic. I'm not going to begrudge them that. I think that's fun. And I like that it kind of harkens back to the opening of Ninja Turtles 2 a little bit, where you have all these you have all these people, extras eating pizza, and there's not a lot of pizza talk in this, so it's nice that you've got one kind of understated panel, and you get it all done in there. You got the Eastman and Laird cameo and the pizza cameo, if you like. Blood, yeah, that's foreshadowing, because we're about to see a lot of that. Where is she? Huh? Where's Karai? Imbeciles! I gave you one simple command. Kill the mutants. And if you don't look at the bottom of the page, you might imagine for a second that this is just Hiroto again, because the way Karai talks is a lot like he does. I guess she raised him, so that makes a lot of sense. And now you have the utter gall to return here to nurse your own pathetic wounds and wallow in your failure. It's not about you, it's about the Foot Clan, it's about the whole, but ultimately, it's about me. This will not stand. Although it's more about me in the Hiroto sense. With her, it's a lot more about her father, of course. We must finish what we have started. The truce between the Foot and the Hamato clans has been broken. Blood has been spilled. I guess I'm a little fuzzy on what exactly started the break in the truce. And there is no turning back now. Karai looking more like Elektra than she ever has before. And maybe Karai was always a little bit of an Elektra nod. I'm not sure. I never really had that thought before. But, I mean, you know, they're both martial arts girls in their 20s or early 30s. But she is dressed in red and has a similar headband. And when we see her in full body later, she's kind of just Elektra. And I was talking last night about the color palette switches, and we're going to have a lot of red for the rest of this for obvious reasons. So there's not going to be as much to read through this section because it's going to be just a lot of action. So Raphael drops onto his back, and there's blood everywhere, and he's going to start just going to town on these foot soldiers. And so our failure finds us. So be it. Destroy the beast, says Karai. And Raphael just says, bring it, which seems like a very Raphael response. I like his sigh in between his fingers there. That's great. And he is murdering them all. He's just taking everybody he can out. Sending these wimps to do your dirty work, huh, Karai? You already made that mistake once tonight. This is all kind of the most Millerish stuff in this issue, and maybe in the whole book, really, just how violent and gory all of this gets. You ambushed my family, killed my father. Only one way this ends. Okay, so we're told Splinter is just straight up dead now. It looked like he was probably on his way out. You didn't know for sure, which is why I say maybe Michelangelo was the last person to speak to him, and that would really resonate with him and maybe have a lot to do with his motivations later on as the Last Ronin. We'll talk about that title a little bit later, by the way. So stop hiding behind these scrubs, and we'll finish this once and for all. He don't like no scrubs. Yes, we will. Here comes Karai. I like all the arrows that are in Raphael's back right now. I always wonder if shells can heal at all. That's the thing we deal with occasionally in Ninja Turtles, where you'll have kind of scars in shells. Where you kind of battle wounds that will never heal, but this happens to them quite a bit. So you know, I don't want to get bogged down with the realism of it, but I would think at some point you'd have like so many marks in your shell, you'd have to see all those. Foolish, undisciplined brute. Brute, you got no idea. And he kicks Karai. She flips over. Enough. My soldiers may have failed to have you, pardon me, to take your head, mutant, but I will not. Wow, does he just stab her straight in the arm? Yeah, geez. One of his size, so this is not going to be the most family-friendly video, folks. Later on, I'm probably going to have to, when I monetize this, toggle the thing that says violence. Anyway, he's got a sai going right through her arm, and you see the blood coming out the other side of it. That is brutal. You missed, and he did not miss. She says, my turn. No. And then they drop into the water. That's the thing we don't do nearly enough with Ninja Turtles, is taking them into their element. I guess some turtles are more, water turtles than others, but I always really like it when we do that. And this is a completely silent page where they're struggling under the water. And at the end of this, Karai has won, and Raphael loses his sai, which symbolizes the death of Raphael. And if you were going to do a death of Raphael story, this would be a great cover or a great last page. And hard for me not to immediately just flash back to the first Ninja Turtles movie, though. I lost my sai. You can get it back. Or I can get it back. No, it is gone. But yeah, that's the end of Raphael. Michelangelo, what the heck are you doing up? You should be resting. We're back in present day again. Couldn't sleep, so I made some tea. Hope that's okay. Of course it is. This was your kitchen before I moved in. And sorry, just got worried when I didn't find you in bed. The tea is from when you lived here. Hope it's still good. Wow, I wonder how long ago that was. How old is this tea that he's drinking? The tea leaves last a long time, certainly. Honestly, best cup of tea I've had in a long time. We're being almost as ambiguous about how much time has passed as we are what continuity we're in. I think, unless at some point there's just a straight up drop of it's been X number of years, but I don't remember. I'm not sure if we'll get that. So we'll watch out for it. Me, I run on high octane these days. I don't know what it is she's drinking. Cap, Boss. You'd think that would say Boost or something. I guess I made that. I guess I have my own energy drink, and April is drinking it. Sometimes there's just not enough caffeine in the world, My arm, yeah, sorry. I like the subtlety of that. I like that he doesn't have to just come out and ask her about it. That I almost want to say that's good visual storytelling. I guess it's not. I guess it's more good dialogue, because you don't really see him staring at her arm. But I don't know. That's a good realistic exchange. Don't be. Got one just like it for a leg. Souvenirs from the last time we saw each other. I just had this thought. April's got a little bit of like a Ripley thing going on, or maybe more of like a Sarah Connor thing. So I'm happy you're alive, Mikey. Yeah, thanks, April. You too. All this time, I thought, I know, we've got some serious catching up to do. We're going to see pretty soon the reason that he couldn't imagine that she'd still be alive. But not before we get some breakfast in us. These eggs are real, by the way, not the synthetic crap we're usually stuck with. Courtesy of the black market. Man, that's a really good indication of just how dystopian your society is now, when you have to put real eggs on the black market to even get them. Fresh batch too. Can't let Salmonella finish what Hiroto couldn't. We don't get a really good explanation as to why she's living a little bit better than some other poor people. Pardon me. In this in like the lowest of the lower class parts of the city, especially because she's in hiding, she's underground, she's in the old turtle's lair. So, I mean, you could say just the same way that the turtles did it, that they were good scavengers, they stick to the shadows, nobody ever sees them. But I think more of it is Casey Jones' daughter and the crew that she runs with, maybe. Word on the street is, you really rattled his cage. Maybe, but rattling cages wasn't the plan. always reminding us that that was supposed to be a suicide mission. I keep seeing this as, and I don't know if this is true or not, but this is just kind of how it reads. I keep seeing this as an initial premise for maybe a one-shot that gets expanded to something a lot more ambitious, where you'd have a oversized one-shot that's just the Last Ronin, Michelangelo trying to kill the last vestige of the Foot Clan, and maybe at the end of it he succeeds, but he also dies, like the Superman Doomsday fight, and it's one last hurrah, and he avenges his brothers. But instead of that, he doesn't succeed, but stays alive, and we expand it to a much larger Ninja Turtles adventure, and I like this better. That would have been a neat one-shot, but it really reads like that because Michelangelo thought that would be the end, and then it just keeps going. I guess I'm saying that because it read like one of the old Ninja Turtles micro-series, that first issue. But Rattling Cages wasn't the plan. I'm sure it wasn't. In smaller font, she's speaking almost under her breath there. You know, you're lucky to be alive. Yeah, still trying to process it all. That fall would have killed me when I was younger. Here's where we'll get the explanation. Instead, well, I'm no Donatello, but it doesn't take a genius to see your mutation has progressed over the years. You're bigger, stronger, and you're healing amazingly fast. Kind of taking that idea from the 87 cartoon show when you get into that last season, and they're mutating even further, and they have these almost like monster forms that they turn into. This is a thing that various Ninja Turtle continuities will sometimes get into, of the evolution of being a Ninja Turtle, where you keep mutating and getting larger. There's also a thing that we'll do a little bit later with the mutation and the radiation that I'm not sure how I feel about, but I don't think we're going to get that until 2, 3, or 4. Not in my head. Everything's so fuzzy. Still don't know how I got here. Back to the lair. Hold that thought. Casey, breakfast. Wait, what? Casey is still alive too? And the reveal here is that Casey's daughter, who we met earlier, is named Casey Jones. Michelangelo, I'd like you to meet my daughter, Casey Marie Jones. I like that choice. Casey can also be a girl's name. I think that's kind of fun, and this is a character that really grows on me as we move through this. I like this is a full-page spread reveal. One thing that is kind of irksome, I'll just kind of run off for a second and mention this, is I was looking up the single issues of this on eBay because I have the first issue, but I haven't bought past that. I've just read the rest of this in digital, and I collect singles, but I read a lot of digital now, but I still collect singles of things that, I just actively collect and I have to have. So I still buy Power Rangers, and I do a lot of gap filling for, Bronze Age and early modern stuff. But occasionally I've got to have newer things, and that Last Ronin falls into that. Anyway, so I looked up the second issue to see what a first printing is going for right now, because I didn't buy them when they came out, and somebody on eBay was calling issue 2 in I guess trying to justify selling it for more, or just to get people to click on it, first appearance of Casey Marie Jones, because we got to make a big deal out of first appearances for everything, no matter what it is, and I'm going, but it's not her first appearance. She shows up in the first issue, and right after that, she and Michelangelo are going to talk about how they've met already. We kind of already met. It's right there. You were a lot less conscious and a lot more bloody at the time. This is so weird. This is still Casey talking. I've been hearing about you turtles all my life, but I never thought I'd get to meet one of you for real. I obviously got that all wrong, huh? Casey? Huh, yep, that's me. And you're supposed to be the funny one, right? Like I said, lots of catching up to do. So one of the things I really like about this character is that she's not just a clone of Casey Jones, but in young girl form. She is very much an amalgamation of both of her parents. We'll see that she has character traits of both of them. She's She's curious and intelligent like her mother, but she's impulsive and she's got the kind of like spunk and arrogance of her father. But she's studying martial arts, we're going to find, because of the stories about the Ninja Turtles, and probably because she's a rebel like her father, and she wants to go up against the Foot Clan, meeting them on their turf, just like Casey Jones did on the street, you know? So, I mean, you could argue that she takes up martial arts for the same reason that he is going around with, baseball bats and stuff, just like whatever on the street he has access to. And I really like that she doesn't put on his mask and she's not carrying around clubs and things. And if her name was Casey Jones and she was just being Casey Jones, I think I would like her a lot less. What is wrong with you? We're back to Hiroto again. I said, show me a decent fight. Kill me, cowards, or I will have you killed. Yes, that's it. Hi. And he's going to make that threat constantly over and over again to his men. Everybody's expendable. It's all negative reinforcement and motivation. We've seen this with countless other villains before. He is real kind of stock in that way, and apparently some folks were real disappointed with him as a villain in this. I have that a little bit as well. We'll continue to talk about why, in some ways, to tell this story, the way he's characterized is necessary, but he is pretty typical, and maybe the problem is just the scenes with him go on way too long if we're not bringing anything new with him to the table, or if he's not going to be, more compelling and menacing in his own right. Like, he is just an impetuous child with too much power who can kill any of his men at any time, and I guess that would make him scary if you worked for him, but on the other side of the comic page, I'm finding him just kind of insufferable and not fun enough to have to spend this much time with. So I guess this just demonstrates that he is indeed good at martial arts. He's got a lot of tattoos. I don't know what exactly they mean. I'm sure that they're Foot Clan something, rather. Excellent strike. Almost masterful. Unfortunately for you, there is only one master. And then he, I don't know if he kills this guy. There's some blood that comes out of the side of the sword, so maybe he does. The lesson has ended. Clean this mess. Come, Captain Facunda. I guess the lesson is I'm better than you, because just, bloodline, kind of forcing this idea of, the nature of the world is, you drew the short straw and I drew the better straw, and, so you can die at any time, and you don't matter. I want a full update. Has our little problem been solved, Captain? No, Master. The rogue mutant has not yet been located. Disappointing. There was a time when those things slinked through the alleys and across the rooftops of this city with near impunity. They even had the utter audacity to brand themselves ninja. Yeah, brand is right, man. Though the truth was far less impressive than that. In what way were they not ninja? Oh, I guess maybe just the stupid bloodline thing. The creature is fearfully skulking, in the shadows, no doubt, which means a shift in tactics is in order, dear Captain. A shift, Master? Yes. I want all our troops engaged in a full crackdown of the city, inside and out. And once we capture the filthy creature, we will destroy it with extreme public prejudice. So Michelangelo's very presence is becoming a danger to everyone in the city, where they already live in a police state and have curfews, we're going to find out, probably rations, and their freedoms are going to be even more choked. Although, I have a question. If it's difficult to get eggs, how are Eastman and Laird eating pizza? I guess it's like crappy synthetic pizza. I don't know. Now go now, Captain. See to my orders. And remember, you are newly raised to your rank in the wake of Captain, the font here is just a little bit small, accuses failure, so I will allow for your inability to locate the beast just once. Guy does not tolerate failure. The price for failing me again will be the same as your predecessors. This guy just really likes crows. So he's a lot like the Shredder in the 2003 series. If you've ever seen that, you'll know that Baxter Stockman, every time he fails Shredder, loses one of his limbs, which is really gruesome for a kid's show. But every other episode, it seems like now he's got an eye patch, now he's missing an arm, now he's in a wheelchair, eventually he's just a head on spindly legs. It's pretty messed up. I'm reminded of that. Man, Mom. After 2 hours of kendo, that sure hit the spot. So they just finished their breakfast. Yeah, I almost forgot what a real meal was like. Thanks, April. You're welcome. We do okay, all things considered. Just don't expect anything fancier in Rock Bottom. That's Casey talking. Rock Bottom? Just a nickname. New York split into 3 districts, top, middle, and bottom. Rock Bottom's the old street level. Our people. I'm not sure... with this social class system, what puts you on the top, middle, and bottom exactly when you have a dictator who sees everyone as way beneath him and seems to only take any stock at all in like ninjas, and even then they're all expendable. Then there's the rest of us. The rest of us. Casey again. Rock Bottom's the battlefield, and the rest of the underground, we're the resistance, which we'll tell him all about after he gets more rest. That's April. Maybe we can grab you some clean linen. I guess he would only need that for sleeping. Come on, Michelangelo. If there's one thing I know about my mom, she's not going to take no for an answer. And now they're going to talk about martial arts. So, kendo, huh? Yeah, been doing it since I was little. Other stuff, too. Hard not to when you grow up in the middle of all this. I really like the idea of April's kid being brought up in the turtle's old lair. Blows my mind to be standing here with you. I heard so many stories, and Mom showed me some of the old photos. You guys were practically like storybook heroes to me. It's also kind of fun that she grows up with stories of the Ninja Turtles, like growing up like a kid like me that was into Turtles comics and cartoons and stuff, even though they were real, and she would just have to take her mom's word for it because it seems so preposterous and unlikely. You guys... pardon me, I even tried to learn as much martial arts as I could, on my own, mostly. Spent a lot of time watching old training videos and lots of reading. I'm wondering what the state of the internet is in this world. That's never brought up at all, I don't think. And it might be that we're just extrapolating from late 80s, early 90s, where the internet's in its infancy, or people aren't even really aware of it yet, where we just kind of ignore that and say, this is one of those... I suggested last night, like, 80s retrofuturism, where it's not really extrapolating from right now, from the 2020s. It's going back and extrapolating the way you would have in, like, an 80s action movie. So I only brought that up because I'm like, well, I wonder if they have YouTube and stuff. Probably not. The Ninja Warrior part? That always gets me pumped. Not sure if pumped is the goal. Well, I know some of the history, too. And, by the way, that whole gets me pumped thing, that's where she seems very much like her father, of course, where just the violence, the brutality, there's a carnal part of her that gets excited by all of that. Well, I know some of the history, too, things like Bushido and seppuku. These are all very personal to me, thank you. So she's hung on to all of the Turtles' old weapons. Sure, once I saw what or who you are, I didn't want to leave anything behind, considering what you were about to do. I understand why, the honor of it. Did you say anything to your mom? So I'm wondering what about this April wouldn't know already or understand. This was the thing that was a little bit confusing to me on first read. Did you say anything to your mom? Yeah, no, nothing. Things have been pretty rough the last few years, so to see a little bit of hope in her eyes again, maybe April just doesn't fully understand what he was trying to do, the whole kind of suicide component of it. Thanks again, Michelangelo says. Actually, you can thank me by telling me more about this. No matter how much we get panels of turtles, and we did this quite a bit, especially with early IDW, without their headbands, I never get used to it. It's always unsettling to me. My Japanese, oh, pardon me, actually, you can thank me by telling me more about this. My Japanese ain't the greatest, but I understand enough to know this is special. Handwritten like a journal, but like instructions for all kinds of martial arts styles and techniques and important life lessons, right? Yeah, something like that. It was my father's. So she's got Splinter's old notebook. Can I ask you a question? Where have you been all this time? Yeah, that. After all the bad stuff that happened, it was too much to handle. So I just started walking. So for Michelangelo's flashbacks, we're going to flip to a completely different art style, and this is classic, gritty, surreal Eastman art. So Eastman's name is there, but you wouldn't even need that. It's obvious that he must have drawn that. There are entire IDW annuals done in this style that's all Eastman. Into the mountains, a kid from the sewers of lower Manhattan straight into the wild. Bad idea. I'd seen photos of snow-covered mountains, but never set foot on one, and being cold-blooded, I didn't have a chance. So we're getting a sense of how Michelangelo became so hardened. So he's kind of unrealistic. He thinks he's going to be able to survive in a major survivalist kind of situation that he's never dealt with before. Urban jungle, but never the real jungle, and certainly not ice and snow. So I'm really glad that we have this almost, I don't know, like Batman Begins kind of thing for Michelangelo, where he has to go on a really rough adventure of self-discovery, but also just getting his body and mind into the kind of shape where he can handle anything, so that we can buy that he's got the attitude he does now, that he acts like he does, but also that he can accomplish some of the things that he does and get as far as he did in that first issue with the tower. Days, a week, maybe longer. I don't know how long I laid there, but my mutant body would not die. I started to hear voices telling me that my destiny was incomplete, that I couldn't leave yet. So the voices start he's in the wilderness, and it makes me buy a lot more that he still has his brothers talking to him after all of this. Eventually it got warmer, and the mountains provided sustenance and solitude, a time to look deep in my soul for answers. I read and reread Father's book, looking for some kind of balance, maybe even a final piece. I spent years alone, thinking this was where I was supposed to be, like a stupid reward or deserved punishment or something. So he's real messed up now. But that's not the way of the world. The real world found me again, and I almost let it take me. And again, classic Eastman stuff. Of course, there's going to be some thugs even in the middle of the wilderness that show up, and he's got to fight them, and that have the kind of wild, freaky faces that he likes to draw. Let me pause for just a second and see what's going on in the comments, because we have been getting a few and I have not been paying attention to that. I only have so much time this afternoon, so I wanted to make sure and kind of blow through this as well as I could. I say that I'm already at 45 minutes, but I will read a couple of comments here in just a second. IMC Comics, Cap, have you heard David Warner passed away? Yeah, I just heard about that this morning. That was really sad. He was 80. And he died of complications having to do with his cancer. One of my favorite actors of all time, and I imagine he'll come up next week in the next Captain Logan show. I'll talk about that a little bit. AMC, hey everyone, how's it going? Oh, same guy. How's it going? Hi, folks. Good to see ya. People talking about other things besides this, so I'll go ahead and move on here in a second. Hayden Spring, quick question, Cap. Should I read King's Mr. Miracle? I've heard it's excellent, but I'm not interested in the New Gods at all. I've only read a couple of issues of that, and it wasn't exactly my thing, but I was getting why people were loving it so much, so some of that might end up being a taste thing. I don't know, but I never finished it, so I can't give you a real solid advice on that. Oh yes, I haven't read this page yet. I welcomed the pain at first. At least I felt something after all that time. Then I saw the looks on their faces, laughing, taking a life just to take a life, for fun. You know, like the villains in The Crow. No honor. That's when I got mad. Really mad. We were raised with respect and honor, trained from birth for redemption for our family. That was my destiny, on the battlefield to the end. I like the idea that all of that might resonate with Michelangelo even more than any of the rest of the Turtles, where his constant joking and his sense of humor might have been kind of a defense mechanism, kept things lighter because that made things easier for him. Maybe he feels as much or more than Raphael even, and maybe he cares about his sense of duty and honor the um and the moral ideals of Splinter as much or more as any of the rest of them. And that's consistent with his characterization in IDW and some other places as well. Father's book was the path to learn and master all forms of martial arts. You kind of like a follower that becomes a leader, right? Like, he had Leonardo's example to follow. He kind of just got, in a lot of versions anyway, like behind his brothers, where he didn't have to take charge very much, and now that they're gone, it's like he's really finding himself and taking, like I said yesterday, bits of all of them and becoming, in some ways, maybe like the ultimate Ninja Turtle. To adapt to every challenge, every form of combat. I was the last of my clan, masterless, Ronin, and it was up to me to restore our family's honor. My training reached its end. I really like this panel at the bottom here. This stuff is real atmospheric. There would be no peace until I fulfilled my destiny. It was time to come home and face it. I also like the choice to fill this room that he's in with crates with rats after what happened to Splinter and after all he's really thinking about is Splinter and his philosophy, his principles. Okay, so let's talk for a second about the title, shall we? The Last Ronin. This section kind of gives us where that title comes from, and if you know anything about like samurai stuff and ninja stuff, you're probably aware of what the word Ronin means, and obviously one of the big reasons that that name is picked is because of Frank Miller, pretty clearly. Because he wrote a book called Ronin that was also set in a wild dystopian future. I kind of question The Last Ronin, and I'm not sure what else you would call it exactly, because, I mean, it would be weird to just call this Ninja Turtles Ronin, because then you're just straight up stealing that title. But how's he the last one, right? Like, when his brothers were with him, they weren't Ronin. Altogether, they were a clan. Like, the definition of Ronin is the opposite of what they were, right? You have to go off on your own and have no master. Unless the idea is Splinter dies, and then they're all Ronin because they have no master. I guess I was thinking about it maybe a little bit wrong, where it's like, well, if you're a group, you can't be a Ronin. But a Ronin is a masterless samurai. I don't know. I guess you could have... Yeah, I mean, you could have more than one, because you have 7 samurai, they're all Ronin, 47 Ronin. Okay, but so maybe it makes sense. I guess the problem is just that the other turtles die so soon after Splinter that they weren't Ronin for any amount of time. I guess that's what's weird about it to me. But now that I've sussed it out, I guess the title does more or less make sense. All right, moving right along. To complete my master's mission, kill the last Oroku. And the last page, what's it mean? And Splinter or someone has written no peace at the end of this notebook. I'm going to assume that is, and I can't remember if that ever comes back and is paid off. I'm going to assume that that's maybe one of the Foot Clan that writes that at the end of that book. Maybe that's my read on it. We'll see if that's contradicted or confirmed reading the other issues, because I don't remember that coming back. Means I still got work to do. Good, because my crew is going to help you. Good visual storytelling. He's not saying anything. We get a beat. No, I appreciate the offer, but I won't be responsible for anyone else getting killed because of me. Well, too bad, because I wasn't asking. You wouldn't even be standing here if it wasn't for us. We got trouble coming now that you stirred things up, so if you don't want help taking out Hiroto, then stand in line. And he says, heh, what's so funny? Just trying to decide if you're more like your dad or your mom. And again, I really like that. She seems like a perfect amalgamation of the two. You really buy them as her parents. And this is our last page. This is setting up what April's plan is about to be for taking down Hiroto. She has the Fugitoid head. And this is one of those things where you're being very rewarded for knowing anything about Ninja Turtles. Fugitoid has been used in a lot more things in the last, I don't know, decade and a half than he had been before. There was a time where if I read this and got to that, I would have no idea what I was looking at. I wouldn't really know what Fugitoid is. Fugitoid is actually an idea that Eastman and Laird had, even, or was it just Eastman? Even pre-Ninja Turtles. And there's, I think, a few issues of that, or just the one, I forget now. And then they roped it into Turtles as an element of that. And so Fugitoid is a guy named Honeycutt, who's a scientist who puts his consciousness into a robot. I think he's an alien initially, and in IDW, is he also? I can't even remember anymore. But anyway, he's very involved in the IDW books, which is why I'm familiar with him. And then he's in 2012. Also, I think, though I haven't watched those episodes. I've never watched that whole show. So Fugitoid is a real, deeply embedded piece of Ninja Turtles mythology at this point. So a lot of people that would think to read this would probably know what that is. But it's deep pull enough that I imagine some people that might read this just because of the hype would get to the end of that and be like, okay, so she's got some kind of a head there. I don't know what that's about. So that's our cliffhanger. I sometimes get annoyed by constant, just because it's formulaic and kind of gimmicky, constant character reveals at the ends of issues. So in the first issue is, oh, he's Michelangelo. But that works because we've been building toward it, and the whole issue is a mystery. You're wondering who it is, and you're kind of glad that you don't have to wait another issue to find out. We're giving it to you right away. But also April herself is a character reveal. And then the end of this, it's kind of a character reveal again, where it's a head. I don't think we keep doing that. It would get kind of repetitive and sing-songy if the end of every one of these was, and then here's this guy, and then here comes Metalhead, and then here comes I don't know, Token Razor, but that doesn't happen. Anyway, well, folks, that is going to do it for me. I'm not seeing any more comments right now, so I'll be back with the third one just as soon as I can. Tonight, we're doing a live review of Thor: Love and Thunder. I don't know if that's going to be a full-blown spoiler cast. I'm kind of playing it by ear right now, kind of by the seat of my pants. Austin and I are going to do that together, and we'll do kind of a quick overview, just sign flip, how we felt about it, and then if folks pop in and want to ask us about specifics, we'll do specifics as well. Anyway, thanks a lot for being here, folks. I hope you had a good time this afternoon if you watched live, and thanks for watching after the fact. If you did that, I'm going to try to find the time to knock out all of this. This has been a lot of fun, just going through this book with you. And once again, hope you had fun. I'm Captain Logan. Happy reading, everybody. Bye.